Remember when common sense was common? When standing up for what is right was the right thing to do? Welcome to The Right Side. Common sense conversations about Hawaii's political landscape and how it affects you, your ohana, and your community. Join us for the next hour as we cut through the political noise and look at Hawaii from the right side.
Well, welcome everybody, and we talk film today. I'm Augie Malia, my co-host, and it's going to be a fun show. Hopefully, we'll educate you a lot about the importance of film in Hawaii and how we've been talking about diversifying the economy now since I was a young man. I'm 56 years old. My children went to Waianae Sea Rider Production, and the hopes of working in the film industry, and nothing. So, as a city councilman, I thought, well, okay, we've been talking about diversifying the economy for so long. Why not we do it? We all know that during the pandemic, we lost tourism, a lot of the construction, right? And the only thing that was really moving was this film industry that we all love. And we know that streaming services shut off the roof. I mean, it was so good. I knew what everybody was watching in my house. My daughter was watching every episode of Little House on the Prairie, guys. No, I would come home, she'd look at me and she'd go, Papa, I reckon you're hungry from the city council. Mama made supper. I was like, come on. The number here is 808-913-6450. We're going to talk about the allure of filming in Hawaii. Hawaii has its breathtaking landscapes, vibrant culture, as long been favored location for television and series and movies from iconic series Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum PI, the thrilling adventures of Lost, and the charming romance of 50 First Dates, and most recently NCIS Hawaii and High Surf. Hawaii has provided the backdrop of countless beloved production. Classic films also found home in Hawaii with productions like South Pacific. How many of you guys remember South Pacific? Yeah. Jurassic Park, right? And the Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm looking at this, Malia, and I go, what about Aloha Surf Hotel?
Oh yeah, that was a great show. You know what? We should have said that because he was in Aloha Surf Hotel,
and it was great.
Was in it.
Directed by Stefan Schaefer.
Yeah. Never I imagined. I thought I was just going to be somebody that pops in, and then we went for a read at the table. I'm like, oh, I'm the lead. Oh, thank you. Awesome. Malia, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Sure, but right. I do remember Aloha Surf Hotel because our whole office went. Yes. It was really fun. We were the only ones in the theater because it was COVID.
Right.
And so we all had to sit far apart.
Yes.
But we got to see Augie on the big screen. It was impressive.
Always
it was impressive. He was a surfer.
Yeah.
And
an overweight surfer.
He had a big belly.
Yes, I
think it was an add-on.
It's part of the whole method acting thing. It was a good excuse.
Yeah, we know it was fake.
Special
fake stomach.
That's right. Wink, wink. All right, Malia.
Well, we have some great guests today. I'm excited to have them, and thank you for joining us today. So Eric Hayes, a lot of people know him in Hawaii now, but he's a producer and director based here. But he became more well-known in the islands when he served as the co-producer on over 100 episodes of the NCIS franchise in Hawaii and New Orleans. I got to say, I love that show. I'm a fan. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, he worked as a first assistant director on multi-million-dollar blockbuster projects, and he has countless TV shows under his belt. His career in production started with Angels in the Outfield, which I also remember. I love that film. They needed someone to choreograph the baseball sequences, and as a former college baseball player with a degree in communications and TV production, it was the perfect career combination.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right on.
Yeah. Welcome, Eric.
I told him he can provide the color, the real stories of what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, and then we have Walea Constantino is the Honolulu Film Commissioner, and she's been an integral part of Hawaii's filmmaking community since founding the Honolulu Film Office in 1993. She works closely with the industry partners on initiatives that advance the film industry in Hawaii, and I know she worked closely with our office.
Yes, I've learned so much from Walea, so thank you for coming here, Walea.
My pleasure. Thank
you. All right.
And Georgia Skinner, I've known her for years. She's the Chief Officer of the Creative Industries Division in the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. And that is a mouthful, right?
It is. It's the longest title in the state, I
It's
think.
gotta be. She's an industry legend. She's led the state office to define, build, and strengthen Hawaii's creative economy since 2007. Before taking on this role, she led the sound department for such shows as All in the Family and The Jeffersons before relocating in 1980 to Hawaii from Hollywood. And her bio is a lot longer. She has so many successes and success stories, but we got to get off the show in an hour.
And we got a great panel of people. So if you are interested or you have questions, again, the number 808-913-6450. Let's start with Georgia. Okay, so can you give us a big picture of the film industry in Hawaii and how many jobs does it create and how many money does the industry bring to our economy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, thank you for having us, first of all. And I'm so enjoying the people that I'm with because everyone's part of it. This is a big hui industry, pretty much. And before 2023 with the strikes and others, we've had a solid $400 million a year industry. And what does that mean? That means that production is spending that kind of money, whether they're qualifying for the tax credit or not. That's a lot of local productions like Aloha Surf Hotel, and many others, because we are growing not only our industry in purpose-built studio space, hopefully, and thank you for Bill 59, but also training our people in the state to work on productions like NCIS, who actually had a lot of interns on their show. And the other component of this is that, unfortunately, with no new studio being built, impacts of the tax credit and the downturn in the U.S., across the U.S. production, Hawaii over the last 2 years, 2023, instead of $400 million, we're down to a $233 million industry.
At one point, it was so exciting to see, Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0, and then knowing that Doogie was coming and NCIS was a pretty fun time.
Yeah, I mean, that was incredible. And, with people on the ground like Valea and, NCIS, of course, all of us were very saddened to see them go. But the industry itself is really built on three pillars, and that's a solid tax credit to begin with, the ability to have infrastructure and a talented workforce that actually productions come here to utilize because they really think highly of their work. So it's very important that we continue to support it.
Absolutely. Eric, can you tell us about your work on NCIS Hawaii and how you feel Hawaii stacks up as a place to film, a show or movie?
Yeah. Well, we moved here in 2021, and I did NCIS New Orleans there. And one of the great things about New Orleans, which what brought here, is anywhere you put a camera, you see Hawaii, you see the beauty of Hawaii, you see the beaches, you got the mountains. You can go anywhere and fall in love with the island.
Right.
And that's what makes it very special. You go to Secret Beach or you go to Kualoa Ranch where Jurassic Park and all these other places are shot, but there's so many parts of the island. You would think that it would be shot out. It's not. There's plenty of places that you can go that other shows or TV shows or films that have not shot here.
Yeah, we have a bunch of money. This just goes to promote Hawaii, where we have it weekly, maybe on all streaming services, on network TV. It's endless.
It really is.
It really is endless. Valia, you're in charge of helping a production get permits for shows. From your perspective, is the industry growing? And if not, can you tell me why?
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay.
So we had a tremendous growth spurt during COVID, and so did the rest of the industry, honestly, because everybody wanted content. Content was growing. We were sort of at the peak of peak TV, yes. And now we're in that phase of correction where everything is ramping down a little bit. It was super expensive during that time for studios and things to make projects. So, overall, the industry is actually down about 20% nationwide.
Yeah.
So we're feeling that here, but it doesn't mean that we're out of luck. It's a very cyclical business, and as Eric has talked about and as George has talked about, we have the look, we have the resources, we have the personnel. So, and thanks to Bill 59 and other initiatives that are going over at the state right now, we're investing in our infrastructure so that we're going to have those critical pillars. But, certainly the value for the look is there. And that's what we're trying to get across to the industry.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Eric. You know, you worked on a set of NCIS Hawaii here, and how did the production help to boost Hawaii's economy and provide jobs and support local businesses? And you get like 2 minutes, but I think you can pull it off.
Well, you put a lot of stuff into it, from putting people up at hotels, doing rental cars through all the rental car agencies, going to mom and pop restaurants where we do what is called second meal. And so we feed the crew later in the day, and we would go to mainly local places and spend, a couple $1,000s to feed the crew. You have graphic artists that were here on the island that made all of our signs and stuff like that, because you can't produce that amount of graphic and signs. So we'd go out to, local vendors. There is, working with the parks and raising money and doing things like that, and the permits. There's so many things that go into it. And one brief story, I did a TV show called Leverage up in Portland. And they paid the crew in $2 bills for their per diem, so they would see where it would spread out awesome. Among the community.
You cannot ask about anything and everything, and we want to hear from you. So call 808-913-6450. So, beyond its stunning visuals, Hawaii offers a wealth of resources that make it an attractive destination for filmmakers. What are some of those? Can you?
Oh, thanks for asking.
Yes.
We have a really strong and well-respected crew base here in the state. And along with that, facilities. Some of them mostly state-owned. There are some private-owned facilities. And when we say facilities, that means hopefully someday multi-stage complexes. That, of course, ties in with a purpose-built facility that will attract them. We also have to change the tax credit this session to be able to make it a lot more attractive than it is. I think that is something that the industry is counting on. But the other thing is a lot of, and I think it was Stanley Kubrick that said, no, not Stanley, somebody else, another famous filmmaker said this, that all of the creative industries are represented in film, because you have art people, obviously art direction and those that work in front of the camera and behind it. In order for us to grow the industry, we got to integrate our DOE CTE programs that are in media. You mentioned YNIC writers and others. How do we connect those kids to the university, and then the university to make the jobs that are available more of an internship and a more standardized kind of pathway?
That's been always the challenge, right?
Yeah.
When you go on set, so I was just on the set of Wrecking Crew, all you see is just a bunch of local people working.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons, and just a little factoid for your listeners and you. So wages and salaries for residents is around $56 million, and that was in 2023. $56 million not only goes into their pockets directly, payroll or other kind of individual hires, but they also go out and spend that money. They're able to buy a home. They're able to get a great truck, and not many businesses or industries in the state can do that.
All right, we have a caller, Jason. Jason, we have a caller. Are you there, Jason? Hello.
Hello, aloha.
Aloha. What's your question, sir?
Well, I was on the show NCIS Hawaii with Eric. I played Ernie, was one of the main cast members. I don't really have a question, but I do want to support the Hawaiian film industry and want to be able to get these crews back working and to get, films around and TV shows filming around the island just to support local businesses and to really get that going again. Just because, everywhere I go internationally here on the island, people loved the show. They love when shows are filmed in Hawaii. They come to Hawaii because of these shows. Whether they relate to it or not, people from Middle America are coming, people from Scandinavia are coming, from France. These CBS shows that were filmed here, Magnum, Lost, Hawaii Five-0, NCIS Hawaii, they're aired everywhere, and that brings so much to the islands, which puts so many people to work. So I'm just basically reiterating that and my love for Hawaii and my love for filming on the island.
All right, on Jason. Well, thanks for calling.
Hey, this is Malia. I loved your character and your show. It was so fun. You made it such a fun show.
Oh my
and
God,
I was
thank you.
so sad when you went off the air, and I look forward to it every week. So good job, and I hope that you somehow resurrect the show. It would be wonderful, or some other show that would be really fun to hear.
Or some other show.
Yeah,
I mean,
some
that's
other
the
show.
thing is like we don't know why the show was canceled. We don't know, it could be money. It could be someone at CBS didn't love the show anymore, but we had really good ratings. We did really, really well.
Yeah.
And it just proves that, sometimes your show is a big success and somebody doesn't want it, or the money isn't there, or maybe it has to do with filming on Hawaii and it being, not as competitive in the tax incentives. I don't know what the answer is, but like Georgia said, like Eric said, like you guys said, it's gonna come back.
Yeah, no, we have to be optimistic.
It's gonna get everybody.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is where people want to come and film.
I will say one thing about Jason and his wife Shauna, who was on the show.
Yes, we love
We have become very good friends and very much advocates of trying to bring the film industry here. And Jason and Shauna, and we've been working with legislation to try and bring films and TV shows and everything back here. They're staying. They're not leaving. And that's what's great, and that shows in a testament to the crews here, what the island brings to the film industry. They're amazing people, amazing family, but it's people like that come here and move here, like my family and Jason's family, and Alex, who was on the show as well. But that's, Jason, you hit the nail on the head,
Yeah. And Alex, speaking of Alex, doing such
Yeah,
great
Alex
work in the
too.
community.
And, we want to be stewards to the island and stewards to the people, and that's really the most important thing. And the most important thing really is just getting work back here and getting everyone out back employed and bringing in that money so everybody's not freaked out and stressed out. So,
one thing I did want to bring up was I remember hearing something about NCIS Hawaii and Eric donating, and probably other people donating during the Lahaina fire and really taking action to help the community. And so maybe you could tell us more about that, Eric, but also that's the kind of thing, that is it really beneficial to Hawaii. It's not just the economy, not just the all the businesses that you support, not just all the jobs, but you're actually giving back to the community in a big way at a real important time of need.
Well, the fires were devastating, and my family loves the islands. We've been coming here forever, and going over to Lahaina and seeing my kids get their first puka shell necklace from an 80-year-old grandmother that, puts ice cream on the end of their nose kind of thing. And so I did step in along with the cast, along with the crew, along with CBS, and everybody in the film industry stepped up. And we sent upwards of 20 cargo containers, over to Lahaina. And having been from New Orleans, going through hurricanes, I kind of had an idea of what they needed.
Yeah.
And everyone was saying no clothes at the beginning. And I was like, nope, you need clothes because you don't have places to wash them. But everybody stepped up. And that goes back to what it is. It's the love of the islands. Yeah. There's only one Hawaii.
That's right.
Continue to help.
Hey, Jason, Jason, thank you, man, for calling. Appreciate you.
Of course.
All right, man.
I'll see you at sunset.
Now, you want to add on something?
Mahalo, guys.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Aloha.
I do remember because Augie and I went to Waimanalo, and we went to Auntie Blanche's place, and that's where I found out that you donated the containers.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, that everybody was bringing over because Augie and I, especially Augie and his daughter, and a lot of the vets at Vet Center. They all, everybody came together to collect goods from the
almost
Epicide.
£1 million.
And then we teamed up with Auntie Blanche and put it all together in the containers that you provided and shipped it over.
Well, Auntie Blanche and the whole community and everybody up there was incredible because at some point we were turning away stuff because we just didn't have enough containers, but I will say I give big props to John Reed and the transportation department for us. And everybody that was involved, I could name 100 people, but it was such an amazing thing to get food and diapers and everything over to Lahaina, and here it is a year and a half later, and they're still suffering, and they still need help.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, well, they're such a great corporate partner, certainly in an emergency. I mean, there's stories about when Hurricane Iniki hit Kauai, and the first Jurassic Park was shooting over there. But there's also things that you never hear about. Really amazing stories, like Hawaii Five-0. They would choose a school, and they would host a toy drive during Christmas, knowing that every student would get a Christmas present. They'd raise money through raffles on set with the crew. They'd do like craft fairs because the crew is working 12, 14 hours a day to raise money. They'd do enough toys for like 200 kids, and they'd do something else that the school liked, like maybe a new garden or a craft store, something like that, giving back. And the stories that you hear from the crew, how rewarding that is to them, about the looks on those kids' faces, and the aloha that they have for doing that. And those are the things that they do out of the love of their heart, just like stepping up for Lahaina for you, is that you never hear about this kind of stuff, but they're such a part of the community, and they give back in such significant ways.
Yeah, it's not like, I remember I was a young man. I was, my first time went to the mainland. I was, a young PAL boxer. Oh, yeah. And, one of the rewards was Universal Studios. Before we saw all the rides, right? We went to the lots, and I saw Gary Coleman outside on a break doing, different strokes. And it was magical because, I knew I was going to be an entertainer. I never know at what time. But for me, it was like, and these are kids that see, Alex O'Loughlin walking around, or Daniel Day Kim, all the big stars, or, what's her name that did NCIS, the lead actress, Filipino girl. Come on.
New Orleans?
No, the one here, NCIS Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name? Oh, come on. The kids went to,
she has
Vanessa Lachey?
Yes, Vanessa, right. The kids went to the school in Kapolei, and I would hear stars like, oh my gosh, it's a Vanessa Lachey. And that's what happens. You see the magic of Hollywood around Hawaii, and, local people, we don't like rushing up to people. We feel proud that it's being filmed right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
And it's something magical with movies and film and everything else.
It's the Ohana.
Yes.
And I think that is why people enjoy it. Our actors, it's only 5 hours from LA, so it is a benefit. But I think it's because of our community and the aloha with the community that we don't fuss over people.
Right.
We appreciate them. And so they get that.
Yeah.
And actually, the community really, really does love the industry. There was a poll done. Yeah. And like 94% of residents believe that filming in Hawaii is good for the state. 85% support film incentives for the industry. So it's one that the community sort of has this mutual respect and aloha too.
Lawmakers like myself, the community is talking. So we either going, not listen to what they say, or we're going to listen to what they say. And the majority of them want to see film. They want to see a diversified economy outside of tourism, the military and construction. And we have a world of talent. And that's the reason why we're doing this show, because we want to educate you on the importance of the film industry here in Hawaii. The number, 808-913-6450. It's Augie. This is The Right Side, a common sense conversation.
The Right Side will be right back with more common sense conversations, only on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer. We're back with more common sense conversations on The Right Side, right here on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer.
Look, I'm excited because after we do this break, I'm going to talk about all the great things that it's coming. And, it's like I love watching trailers. Like I go down the wormhole. I go on YouTube and watch everybody's trailer. So I'm gonna tease you guys. We're gonna get you guys excited because of the possibilities. Now, I did one of the very first Hallmark TV shows here, right? And it was cool because I got to go to Atlanta. I got off the plane, jumped on the rail, went straight to the studios, shot the stuff, went to bed, got up, went back. That was it. It was like the most coolest thing. But I saw what, vision in Atlanta and what it looked in the early days, and how, that became an anchor to so much things. That's why, like, I don't know what led me to the path of being at the city council, and then all of a sudden, being able to introduce Bill 59, because I know what the impact will take, or what will happen with, a fully functioning, infrastructure that can do amazing things and bring amazing jobs. And not only that, but an anchor to so much other things. Mm-hmm. But before we get there, right, there's some challenges.
I know.
So we'll talk about the challenges.
And maybe people are just tuning in.
Yes.
So we'll just remind them we're talking about the film industry.
Yes.
And we have Eric Hayes here, who's a producer, director, and Georgia Skinner and Valia. And they're going to talk to us about what needs to be done and what they're trying to do at the legislature in terms of tax credits and what's really hot at the legislature right now. Because I know as a reporter for 35 years, this was always coming up at the legislature. Always.
Always. Well, we've had a tax credit. Thank you for that. I mean, we've had the more robust tax credit of now 22% credit for shooting on Oahu, and neighbor islands is more to incentivize that, 27%. But since 2006, we've had this. Unfortunately, there are now things that absolutely need to be changed because it's a barrier and a hard barrier for production to come here. And we do want to see 3 series again at one at a pop.
Yeah.
But currently there's a number of bills. I think one of the most important is to reset the definition of what production is as a manufacturing business. Because when you think about it, production is shooting all the parts. It's not like they shoot a soap opera straight away and then go home, right? So this is really digital manufacturing, and I think that's a very important measure that's come up in the Senate.
And it's actually defined that way across the country. We were defined that way at the beginning.
Yes, we
so
were.
We're just trying to get back to where we were that drove this to be such a successful credit.
Yeah, and not only successful, but business decisions made on long-term series, and Eric can speak to this, are important because they have to plan for 5 to 7 years out.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a stable credit and it's known that it's constantly changing, people will not come. And we are competing with countries, not necessarily just the United States. Mm-hmm. And with this reset of, just an incredible setback in terms of production, we absolutely have to change 3 core things.
All right. And when you see production popping up in Las Vegas, New Mexico, New Jersey, you're going, are we missing something over here? Should we be, really like speeding the process up? Because you see it just about every other month. There's somebody going, this is a gold mine over here. And the cool thing is that the mayor understands it. And I think the governor does.
He does.
Absolutely.
They all do. And I think that's great support. And neighbor island mayors understand as well. But I think to your point, and I think that it's something that has to be talked about, is that this is not a subsidy. This is generating all that cash that we talked about. And a year and a half, or unfortunately sometimes later than a year and a half later, the production is paid out. So they're coming here, spending that money and incentivizing the jobs. They also give back 0.1% of their total spend, which NCIS has done religiously, and every other studio production that's here. They give back to education, whether it's UH or community schools, charter schools, and the community, like you talked about earlier.
Right.
That's a really important part. 0.1% also of the credit now, 0.2% of the credit now goes back into a new Hawaii Film and Creative Industries Development Fund, and we're granting over $400,000 to the local community to develop their own local projects.
That is so awesome. I see Eric looking. I know you get something to say.
Mm-hmm. For me, having gone through this in Louisiana, I have a different perspective and thought process behind it. Everybody needs to be in the same boat, in the same idea of bringing the film industry back. Okay? We were blessed here to have 3-4 shows going at one time and movies and all that stuff. And the tax credit wasn't really talked about or looked at. At this point, we're 22%. The rest of the nation, 27 to 30 to 35%. So there needs to be a 3 in front of our tax credit for producers, studios, or anybody to think about coming back here to the island, because 22% is really 18% due to the expense that it costs to shoot here. The second one is the 4.71, payroll, tax against payroll, gross payroll. Mm-hmm. As a small production, you can't even think about coming here with that because you're eating up, probably 4 to 5, 6% of your budget to come over here. And then the last thing that the tax credit, once you get done filming, it needs to be paid back within 18 months tops.
Right.
There's other states and other stuff that gets it back much faster.
Wow.
And that is, to me, that's just a producer production side. I'm terrible with the SB 1923s, 48s, and all that stuff, and what it says and all. From a producer standpoint, coming from the mainland and now over here, those are the three main. And you can throw in raising the cap from 17 million per production to at least 25, or taking the cap from 50 to 75. The thing about the cap, though, is 50 million. It's a rollover cap. So if you only use 25% of it, the next year you're going into with 75. But from a producer standpoint, we all need to be talking about that, and we do need another production facility here. But 0% of zero is zero. And that's what we have shooting here right now, except for give it up for Kenny Burke, who does have projects here, and he does constantly have people working here. But we need much more.
And I think no doubt we need more of that. But there's a critical thing that you mentioned about the 4%, and that's in one of the bills. And Georgia, if you wouldn't mind, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so the general excise tax, which is Hawaii is the only state that has it referred to in that way, has now reset to be on payroll, which, as Eric said, really is an impetus to not come, because unfortunately you can't afford it. Hawaii is expensive to start with. Mm-hmm. If we don't have a credit that has an uplift that gets us to 30%, or we don't eliminate that per production cap, and we pay out properly within an 18-month period, nobody will be coming. And that's the reality. And that's what's great about what's in the session now, is there are measures, and I won't tell what the bill numbers are, but I think the most important
I know it starts with SB.
Well, the people that,
sometimes it's HP.
Well, the people that really, concern or watching or, the nice thing is that I go on social media and I'm watching a lot of the local actors, the guys that work behind the scene. They're talking about the importance, and that's what we need. I mean, we need the community support. We also need, people in the industry, coming out to testify, because it's so important.
Oh, yes.
Our lawmakers need to see, that's my neighbor working there. Mm-hmm. And, unless you go on set, you won't ever see it. You'll hear about it, but you won't ever see it. So, you got to get involved.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised as I was reading through the legislation to find out that the 4% on the payroll that we're asking to make the changes to is actually going to correct something to make it consistent and conform with other industries and how they're treated. So it's not that we're asking for anything special. We're asking for it to be reset to what it was that launched the credit and made it successful. And we're also trying to conform with the other industries and how they handle their payroll. So it isn't a big, gigantic ask way over and above. So that I thought was incredibly interesting for people to know, that it's not that we're just constantly grabbing for money, but that we're looking to make adjustments that are balanced, that are responsible, and that are going to drive the business in a significant way.
Yeah, and align with what's happening across the United States, which is important.
Yeah, and even though production is down, as we said, when it does ramp up and it does come back, because you can't really, unfortunately, we do have productions that are, doubling for Hawaii and going to foreign countries to do that.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it serves us right, because how long have we done that? I mean, we've been Costa Rica and Jurassic Park, we've been Africa and Tears of the Sun, and so, kind of a little bit payback, but, we can handle it.
808-913-6450. When we come back, we'll do final thoughts, and we'll share with you some of the great things that's coming. And we keep our fingers crossed that more will be coming, because such a great industry will bring a lot of money, a much needed money here in our state. It's The Right Side. I'm Augie, and this is a common sense conversation. I'm probably doing it all backwards.
We're back with more common sense conversations on The Right Side, right here on AM 690, FM 94.3, The Answer.
All right, so we're going to finish strong. Because, I'm just so optimistic that things are going to get done, and we will have a thriving film community here in Hawaii, because there's so much talent. And I want to thank Eric for coming by. Valea, thank you for coming by. Georgia, and of course, Malia.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this. And that one caller, Jason, mahalo. One day, the line's going to light up and nobody will be able to get on.
Hey, our callers are quality.
They are.
Right, Jason?
Hey, we're gonna finish strong. So let's talk about projects that's already done that will be highlighting Hawaii that we should get excited about to go see, and then the possible projects coming on. Who wants to start?
I'll start because I think we're going to have an amazing moment in August when Apple TV Chief of War comes out.
Yeah.
This is a project all about Hawaiian history, all about us, all about our community. The first episode is entirely Olelo Hawaii, subtitled. I mean, no one's ever seen anything like it. It's going to be phenomenal.
I mean, I watch Apple TV and some of the things that they're doing. I saw Napoleon. You know, it's just, you can envision, like, you know, I already closed my eyes and went, I wonder how Chief of War going to look like with just, you know, the way
It's our Shogun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That's another one that I love watching.
And then, of course, we have live action Lilo and Stitch coming in theaters. And then the next year we've got live action Moana. So we're going to have a moment in the public eye where we're going to be capturing everybody's attention. And if we can fix these things now, before the end of it, we'll get other projects rolling. So we'll continue that visibility, that aloha, you know, that creativity out there.
That's awesome.
And I'd love to highlight, you know, exactly what you were talking about, Valea, because a lot of our up and coming talent, and when I say up and coming, a lot of these people have been at it for a long time. Writers that you may not know about, the people that, you know, write something and then you get to see it later, whether it's an NCIS, a series, or Chief of War with Jason Momoa. But Thomas Sibbett, who co-wrote with Jason on Chief of War, and the work that they've done to help bring other writers up. In addition, a shout out to Dana Ledoux Miller and Bryson Chun, who are writers on Moana. And so this is an important part of what DBED and Creative Industries is doing to really elevate our talent, not only in front of the camera, but those that are in these above the line positions and creating our own works. I mean, you know, just so many success stories. Erin Lau, was able to direct a couple of episodes, one episode, but I hope they'll have her back on Rescue High Surf. So we want to shout out to them as well. But if we don't fix the things that we need to fix now, well, we have a moment, so we have to capture it, like Valea said.
And we will have that moment. And it's going to be amazing. I'm telling you, I just feel it in my gut, Eric. What do you think? As a guy, as a visionary, as a guy who creates, you know, I know, we're looking at a backdrop.
Right.
Of a place where you can film 24/7, 7 days a week, you know, in a back studio. Hopefully one day where there's a full functioning infrastructure where people can, you know, work, thrive, and, you know, and make a living wage, because we're losing the middle class in Hawaii. We all know that, you know, where people can live, work, and play here. And it's the industry to do it.
Really live.
Yeah. To really live.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to say is Rescue High Surf, you know, for the film industry, everything. They're great episodes. I hope that they really do come back. Fingers crossed. The island needs it. The people here need it. It's a world-class, you know, cast and crew here on the island. So, you know, support that. Watch that on Monday nights because it's a great show.
Yeah.
And it really does show the island, especially the North Shore.
Yeah.
But I'm in agreement. I think if we get everybody on board and put everybody on the same train and talk about what we need to do here, and that's bring productions back, then there will be a thriving film industry here again. And it's not just Hawaii. We got runaway productions all over the United States. So it's not just a problem here. It's a problem everywhere.
Right.
But I think we're going to get through it. There's light at the end of the tunnel. But, you know, support the film industry, support us, you know, and again, thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you guys.
And if people want to write to the legislature, they can do that because they can accept testimony. They can go to the Capitol and testify.
Important. Yeah.
And they should do that. And maybe at some point, you know, Augie, on your social media, we could post what bills there are and what people could do. So we could direct people there. But just real quick, from my perspective, we have we're always talking about how we're going to fix our economy, how we're going to boost our economy, and tourism. They always talk about, it's so invasive. Let's tax the tourists. We don't want them here anyway. And then we talk about the construction is like, look at Kaka'ako. It's crazy. Our whole island is turning, looks like what we're looking at right here in the back. And then we have military, right? That's it. And those are all kind of like invasive, if you look at it that way, pillars of the economy. But film industry, it's nothing.
It's
it
clean,
doesn't make an impact. It's a green
it's everything.
industry. What is the issue?
And it's not mean.
All they leave is money. And I can tell you quite specifically, DBED did a study, right, Georgia, about what the tourism effects were, and 4.5 million visitor days. That's how many days different visitors came here. Can be attributed to what they're thinking and seeing about the movies and television.
Yeah.
And those 4.5 million visitor days ended up bringing over $120 million of tax revenue, direct tax revenue, into the state.
Are my colleagues reading the same thing?
Guess what? Yeah, I don't know. And guess how much in visitor spending?
Go ahead, tell me, Georgia.
Where they pay that GET when they shouldn't be paying it on the other side. $1 billion in visitor spending for which is accounting for 5.3% of the respective total.
Producer, are we recording this, because I'll make sure that every one of them get this recording so they understand the millions and what it could look like tomorrow.
And Augie, we didn't even get to mention that you introduced a bill, and it passed the council, and it's to support a film studio here, a tax credit.
Yeah.
And the mayor's planning on signing that. So
it's coming.
Just another thing to pull it all together.
Critical.
We're telling the state, all we did was we told the state, hey, we're putting skin in the game. So come on, we get the support of the city. Let's rock and roll. Let's build this industry. And when we talk about diversifying the economy, let's finally do it. Okay? Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Valia. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Malia. What are we talking about next week? I know it's...
We're going to be talking about how there's a big effort to improve our parks.
Yeah.
And you've been the parks chair.
For 4 years.
We're going to have Laura Thielen on and talk about how we're building our community.
That's right. We're going to make our parks clean, and we're going to encourage you guys all, educate you about adopting parks here in our beautiful city. All right. You guys have a great day. We will see you another time. This is The Right Stuff. On the right side. Sorry, I'm thinking about the song. I got the right stuff, baby. Look at the producer just shaking her head.
Riding into town from the west. Both freeways are